What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know about the 3 types of days that you can use to maintain a healthy balance while still striving to be the best in the world at what you do? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
Hello, everybody. It's Kyle from Unlocking Your Inner Strength at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com. Once again, with episode number 43. A lot going on in my life right now, but that's a good thing. I'd rather have a fun, eventful, action-packed life than a boring life. And this is actually the first episode that I'm recording from my shed. I still have to think of a nickname for my office. Maybe it will be the shed, but this is cool, man. It's I hear the creek, I can hear birds, I hear the trees, the leaves. I'm sitting in a big box of wood. Really fits me. Just got back from my first mastermind with Matt Fury. That was awesome. I'll be talking about some of that stuff in future episodes. Devin is due. Actually, by the time you listen to this, because I time travel when I record these, we will have baby number 2 in our hands. We don't know if we're having a boy or a girl, but the baby will be here. And another thing that's going on, the past few mornings, I've worked out at home with the kettlebell and done my push-ups. I still have my bench affirmation that I'm going for 405 pounds, which I will get to, maybe before the baby, maybe not. I had a slight pec tear a few weeks ago. It's feeling pretty good. I just don't want to do anything stupid. And it's no rush, really. I thought I had to achieve this before the baby got here because I thought my sleep was going to be really compromised. But I'll be on Braxton duty, and he's been sleeping really well lately, so that shouldn't be much of an issue. However, the reason I've been working out at home is because I'm very limited in what I can do right now. I cannot really bend my right leg much, and I can't lock it out. So I went to see my old friend, Dr. Getcha, this morning. I was waiting a few weeks, hoping this would kind of go away, and making sure it wasn't a psychosomatic issue. And that's a whole fascinating topic in itself, which I'm going to be bringing forth a book and a presentation on within the next 12 months. But it's a monster of a topic to tackle. But this is not that. So I saw Dr. Getcha. I'll be having an official MRI tomorrow, but it looks like it's what I thought it was, a bucket handle meniscus tear, which is just a nuisance. The pain is pretty good. It's annoying. You know, I remember one of the guys I used to teach with had a meniscus surgery, and he missed 6 months of school, which I thought was a little ridiculous. Actually, that happened to him twice. But this is painful, but it's not even in the same universe as when I ripped both of the tendons in half at different times with my knees. So let me talk about that second time, and then you'll see where we're going with this episode. In 2014, the fall, it was November 7th. I had just competed in a bodybuilding show June. I competed in 2 shows. The reason I competed again after a 6-year layoff was, 1, I wanted Devin to see me compete. She was not with me when I was heavy into competing. And number 2, I was using it as a comeback from my patellar tendon rupture, which at the time was devastating for me. It took away a lot of my freedom. It took me about 2 years to recover from. It's on a very different level than most injuries. So I compete, did well, went through the summer. And that fall, I'm playing in a men's league over 30, doing really well. About 4 games into the season, I felt like the knees were a non-issue. So I talked Devin into coming out to one of the games, again on November 7th, which I believe was a Thursday night. And 3 minutes into the game, somebody throws me a cross-court pass. So I jump up to get it. And as soon as I took off up into the air, something didn't feel right. Pain had not kicked in yet. Everything kind of slows down. There's actual chemicals and growth factors that are released into your brain when there's severe trauma to the body that kind of slows everything down. But I remember thinking in the air, where did my leg just go? Because you got to realize the tendon kind of connects part of the nervous system together, so to speak. That's where all force and power is transmitted through. Ligaments are for stabilization, but the tendon is a beast with a lot of nerves. So I kind of felt like my leg was disconnected. And then I remember coming down and thinking, why am I still going down? I should be on the ground at this point. Well, what happened was the patellar tendon and about 5 other things in there snapped, the IT band, a couple ligaments. And the knee, I had nothing to catch myself. My left leg wasn't ready for it. So my right knee came down and hit the ground. My leg was bent out at 90 degrees. And poor Devin was sitting courtside with a friend of hers whose husband happened to be on the other team. And I'm rolling around. I'm saying, Jesus, you got to be kidding me. This cannot have happened. And I'm screaming, please be my ACL. And people are looking, why is he saying that? And one of the other guys said, well, he ruptured his patellar tendon about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. So he's kind of hoping for a better case scenario. And the pain was extreme. So I know a lot about dealing with the injury pain. Now, a word on tendon ruptures as well. If a tendon comes off the bone, because people will tell you they ruptured their Achilles tendon, they ruptured their pec tendon or biceps tendon, and no doubt it still stinks. But when a tendon remains intact, the pain is significantly less. That's the more common way to rupture a tendon. When it's called an avulsion fracture, the tendon takes a chunk of the bone with it and comes off. But the tendon's still intact. Well, as luck would have it with both of my patellar tendon ruptures, both times the tendon ripped directly in the middle, vertically and horizontally. So my tendon was in 4 pieces. I guess, I have a mission in this life to be an expert on knee injuries. So be it. Anyhow, I was deadlifting. I had surgery 4 days later. You got to move quick on tendon ruptures. But I was deadlifting inside of 7 weeks after the surgery, which is, if you look at the timeline that they give you, 18 to 24 months, and even the pro athletes that have done this, you never see him again. You've seen Victor Cruz again. The funny thing is, Victor Cruz did this for the first time for him about 3 days before I did this for the second time. And I told people at the time, you might see him on the field again. You might not, but he's never going to be the same. So sure enough, he missed the next season. And then he's been playing, but he doesn't have the same push off. So Victor, if you happen to listen to this, get in touch. I tried to get in touch with you the first time. Moving on though. What I learned through both of those experiences was how to recover from any type of joint injury or surgery in record time. Now, you may be saying, well, I've never had surgery. I'm not going to get injured. You might be one of the college kids that listens to this podcast. And believe me, at your age, I never thought I would get injured as well. I still don't think I'm ever going to get injured. But it happens when you push your body. So if nothing else, I would use this episode as an insurance policy in the future to not prevent injury, because believe me, I've done everything I can to prevent injury, but to make sure that you get back from your surgery or your joint injury in record time. Time is the most valuable resource that we all have. You cannot afford to go by the timelines that doctors put forth with this stuff. Those guidelines, just like blood work, are what they would give the Homer Simpsons of the world, the people that sit on couches as a profession. Not really, but you know what I mean. But that's not you. If you listen to this, I guarantee you're a go-getter and you're an action taker. I'm going to tell you about 4 or 5 things right here that you're not going to hear from any surgeons or doctors that will allow you to recover much, much faster. But I'm telling you, do this at your own risk. I'm a little crazy with this stuff, and I'm always willing to experiment on myself as a human guinea pig. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know about the 3 types of days that you can use to maintain a healthy balance while still striving to be the best in the world at what you do? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. So the first thing they're going to tell you, whether you break a bone, have a soft tissue injury, is to either they're going to cast it or they're going to try to stabilize it. Now, before the surgery, depending if you need surgery, that's a good idea. However, once you have the surgery, you need to regain range of motion in that joint immediately. Yes, immediately, even if you have a tendon rupture. Now, going back again, tendon ruptures are at the far end of the scale where they want you, and I listened to them the first time, to keep it stable for 6 weeks, sometimes longer. I've consulted with gentlemen that have kept their knees locked for 3 months, and I'm just like, man, what a poor SOB this guy is. This is going to be not fun recovering from that. So you have to gain range of motion immediately. You're not going to get full range of motion, but gentle moving. You have to understand with joints, the health of the joint relies upon synovial fluid. The only way to get synovial fluid, which I've termed in the past as WD-40 for your joints, is to take the joint through a full range of motion. Going back to the patellar tendon rupture, when I spoke with Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell, after the first rupture, and I was really struggling with my range of motion. 4 months in, I only had 70 degrees range of motion. Normal human legs should be able to get to about 132 degrees. And he said, Kyle, look at the surgery report. I guarantee you that they had you bent at 90 degrees on the operating table after they reattached and sewed everything together. Sure enough, they did. So in my mind, I'm saying, son of a bitch, why didn't I know this? And why was I told to keep this locked? Well, liability reasons, okay? Liability. They're always going to tell you to go as slow as possible. They don't want to have to do the surgery again, insurance. And I get it. I completely get it. But you have to take your health and your future and your time into your own hands. So movement is the first thing, just gentle movement. If it's your shoulder, you can let it hang and just kind of do like gravity take over. And you can even, I'm doing it right here as I'm sitting with my arm pretending my shoulder is limp, just rocking back and forth with my body, letting my arm move freely. With shoulders, they're going to put you in a sling. I've had a lot of friends and one of my brothers that have had shoulder surgery. Again, always advise, don't use that stuff for more than a week. With my second patellar tendon rupture, I was out. Now, they put you in this steel brace that basically goes from your thigh down to the bottom of your calf, and it's locked. The second time around, I was out of that within a week. I was out of the brace within 2 weeks. I was off the crutches within a couple of days because I knew I had to stimulate the muscle. So here's another thing. You're going to get swelling when you have an injury or you have surgery. The swelling is not good. Swelling and inflammation are often confused. Inflammation is part of the healing process. We need that. Swelling is when we ice and we don't move a joint. You pile up all the bad stuff in there that we need to get out of the joint. We need to pump that out. So the muscles are like a giant lymphatic drainage system where they have to contract and squeeze to pump fluid through and move the bad stuff out. So you can only do this through voluntary muscular contraction or weight bearing, electric muscle stim. You could put a stim machine on. I've done that in the past too. But you have to start making the muscle active and regaining that neural connection to your nervous system for the injured area. So contraction. So if you're not weight bearing, you're setting yourself back. If you're not contracting the muscle, even isometric contraction. So even if I decided, okay, I'm going to keep my sling on, let's say it was my shoulder. Now I'm doing it here. I got my arm tightly into my chest. I can still squeeze my bicep, my forearm, my tricep. And I would be doing that, get the blood going through there. We had a football player this past year, starting quarterback for one of the high school teams, that broke his leg, hairline fracture. Now, it was in the lower portion of the leg. And if you asked me what to do, I would not have casted it. They put it in a hard cast. Worst thing you can do. Because even bones, you stimulate osteoblasts and bone growth through weight bearing. So if you want to speed healing of a fracture, you have to weight bear. If you don't want the muscles to atrophy and shrink, that means shrink, you have to weight bear. So, but of course, the surgeon was the surgeon for the Jets. It doesn't mean they know what they're doing with this stuff. I'm telling you, I speak with many, many doctors, and they'll be the first ones to tell you there's just simply too much that they're expected to know. So we have movement, we have muscular contraction, we have compression. Wear a compression sleeve of some sort that's going to get heat to the area. You do not want to ice an injury. Let me repeat that because you're not going to hear that anywhere else. Ice is not good for injuries. The only thing ice is good for are making mixed drinks, or if the pain is unbearable and you can't stand it and you don't want to take any painkillers. Ice slows the blood flow down. It constricts the vessels, which means you're going to swell up more. And they tell you, oh, you got to use ice to bring the swelling down. Not so. Where that came from, I believe, was it was either 50s or the 60s. There was a boy riding a train here in America, had his arm out. It's kind of like a rail car, and his arm hit a sign, became dismembered from his body. So there happened to be a doctor, present, and he said, put it on ice, and which was actually brilliant because he wanted to slow the blood flow down so they could save the arm. They were able to successfully reattach the arm when they got to the hospital or the surgery center, but this became a national story, and all of a sudden ice became this magical healer in this magical way to get better. If it was nowadays and you were trying to pass a scientific double-blind study or scrutiny, ice would never pass that test. And there's books on this, but again, people want you to believe that. I didn't ice my second knee surgery, and again, it was a major, major surgery. I didn't ice it for 1 second. And when Dr. Getcha asked me how I recovered so quickly and what the heck I was doing, I said, I didn't ice, I heated. You want to use heat? I used a compression sleeve, and I began weight bearing very quickly, and I worked on simple range of motion stuff right away. So that is the physical things you can do to kind of become a superhero. Now, the other things are a little deeper, and this is stuff I've actually done, but I know it works. And if you ask Devin, she'll tell you I have. And it's weird because you see it in Braxton too. When he gets a nasty cut, he heals within about a day to 48 hours. The cut's almost scabbed over and closed up, and it looks like it's almost non-existent. That's where I was going with that. If you ask Devin, I've always had an ability to heal from cuts or surgeries very quickly. And I attribute a lot of that to my mentality and the visualization that I do. So with the mentality, first of all, I don't know when I'm going to have the surgery on this right knee. I'm hoping before the baby comes. So hopefully the surgery will be done before you listen to this episode. But I have two options. I can say, F my life. How'd this happen again? How am I going to have a third knee surgery? But no, I'm saying, man, this is perfect timing. Literally, because I just outlined yesterday, how to recover from any joint injury in patellar tendon or knee surgery in record time. How to get out of pain in record time. I don't know the exact title yet, but it's book number 2 that I'm writing on knee injuries and joint pain. I outlined that yesterday, so I'm like, man, this is perfect. I'm going to get to go through this in live time as I write the book. That's the second book for the year that I'm writing. So this is just awesome. In mentality as well, when it comes to an injury, you could have full range of motion. You could be pain-free, but until you overcome it mentally, you are not healed. And that was one of the very first things Louis Simmons told me. He said, any injury, and if it's still in your head, you're not healed, even if you pass the eyeball test. So go back to my first patellar tendon rupture. I forced myself to get ready and to play basketball within 6 months after the surgery. 6 months after the surgery. This is not an ACL tear where even that you'll see people taking a year to a year and a half, 2 years. The patellar tendon rupture with multiple other things. So I was out on the basketball court. I played 3 games until I had to shut it down because it just wasn't ready. I was playing on one leg basically, but the leg kept swelling up. I had to get it drained a few times. Why did I do that? Yes, maybe I pushed it too far, but it was mental reasons. I wanted to prove to myself, this isn't nothing. You got this. It's not going to hold you back. I'm healed mentally. And I sent the message to my nervous system. So I always believe that you can't have any fear of injury. Depending on how you look at it and how you frame it, there will be a silver lining. But if you're a negative Nelly, think about that. Think about the messages you're sending to your body and your spirit about your recovery time. The mind is incredibly powerful. So your mentality is very important. The last thing I want to talk about is visualization. I actually have my headphones sitting next to me. And when I was meditating earlier, I was meditating to a custom track by HoloSync that I had made in 2012 after my surgery with subliminal messages that I recorded on it, but you can't hear them. Obviously, it's subliminal. When you listen to it, it's the sound of the ocean. But part of that was I'm recovering faster than is humanly possible. I'm superhuman. Massive blood flow is going to the area and bringing good nutrients in. And there was other stuff I had in the affirmations as well. But I would visualize, and I would visualize blood going to the area, and I would visualize the healing process and the rebuilding taking place within the joint. When I would go to the pool that summer, the outdoor pool, and I would work in the low end and the shallow end, I would do hobbling jogs. I would do lunges, which felt good without my entire body weight on my lower half because of the water. But I'd visualize myself as Superman or just a superhero. And it sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, it helped me recover much quicker. And I believe that I have superhuman healing abilities. You call me crazy if you want, but what's the alternative? To not believe that? So, the choice is yours, but I believe that. And that's it. So you have compression, you have movement, you have heat, do not ice, you have the mentality you're taking into it, and you have the visualization. And seek out those who have been there before. They're going to save you secrets. They can coach you through it. So that's what I've got on how to recover like a superhero from any injury. If you haven't gotten on an email list, that's starting to pump. I'm really excited. I just got a new email server, but I've been sending out daily emails. The monthly newsletter is rocking and rolling. I have a cool Rip Dads online high-level coaching that's going to be launching. Book number 1 is done. That should be out and available for purchase within a month from when you're listening to this. And that's all I got for you. As usual, please spread the word about the podcast. Please leave a review if you haven't already done so. That helps me greatly. If you feel that I'm giving you value, just do me that favor and leave a positive review so more people can find it. And let me know any questions that you want me to cover. I'll be back next week with episode number 44 and maybe a new baby. Talk to you later. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.